Venus Williams receives Australian Open wildcard for first appearance since 2021. Venus Williams is set to play her first Grand Slam tennis match outside of New York since 2023, after receiving a wild card into the Australian Open. The seven-time Grand Slam champion, who played 3 U.S. hardcourt tournaments last year, including the U.S. Open, will make her first appearance in Melbourne since 2021. Williams, 45, won her first-round match that year before losing 6-1, 6-0 to Sara Errani of Italy in the second. She has twice reached the final at the Australian Open, in 2003 and 2017, losing to her sister, Serena, both times. This year, Venus will warm up by playing the Auckland Open, a WTA 250 event for which she has also received a wild card. Williams was not expected to play in 2025 after competing in just 2 matches in 2024 and not featuring at any of the 4 majors. Yet, Williams made a surprise return to the court in July, with a wild card into the DC Open in Washington, D.C., after receiving and then declining a wild card into the BNP Paribas Open at Indian Wells, California in March. She sensationally won her opening round match against compatriot Peyton Stearns, despite not having a world ranking. And during a news conference at the following event, the Cincinnati Open, she told the tennis world not to rule her out for 2026. Williams then received another wild card at the U.S. Open. She lost to number 13 seed Karolina Muchova in the first round of singles, but made a memorable run to the women's doubles quarterfinals with Leylah Fernandez of Canada. Her last Grand Slam match outside the U.S. was at Wimbledon in 2023. Williams' sister, 23-time Grand Slam champion Serena, has also allowed herself to return to tennis by re-entering the sport's anti-doping testing pool, but that could not happen until April. The 44-year-old in December denied any comeback, but re-entry into the pool entails providing whereabouts for every day of the year and the possibility of random testing. Venus Williams is the second American woman to receive a wild card into the first Grand Slam of 2026, which begins January 18th. Elizabeth Mondulik, 24, won the U.S. Tennis Association's Wildcard Challenge for the tournament, which rewards the best-performing player in a 5-week window late in the season. Return to the land down under, Venus Williams' triumphant wildcard, an imaginative chronicle of a tennis legend's journey back to the Australian Open. At the core of sport lies a timeless narrative, the return of a hero. Like the arc of an epic tale, there are beginnings and climaxes, victories and setbacks, moments of doubt and flashes of brilliance. Few stories in modern athletics are as compelling or as enduringly poetic as that of Venus Williams, the American tennis icon who, at 45, will storm up the courts of Melbourne Park once again after receiving a wild-card entry into the 2026 Australian Open, her first appearance at the tournament since 2021. Women's Tennis Association +1. Chapter 1. Legacy in Motion. Long before social media buzz and viral clips, Venus had already carved her name into tennis immortality. Bursting onto the scene in the late 1990s with her blistering serve and effortless power, she became more than a champion. She became a redefinition of possibility. Alongside her sister Serena, the Williams sisters upended conventions, shattered records, and reshaped the sport's cultural landscape. Venus is a 7-time Grand Slam singles champion, a force of athleticism and elegance. Yet one title eluded her, the Australian Open. Despite deep runs and inspiring performances, she never lifted the Daphne Acurst Memorial Cup, finishing runner-up twice, in 2003 and 2017, both times losing to her sister, against whom she shared some of the most captivating rivalries in tennis history. ESPN.com. Her absence from Melbourne in recent years wasn't for lack of love for the sport, but rather a challenge familiar to every athlete: the negotiation with time. Injuries, surgeries, travel fatigue, and the daily wear of elite competition caused long pauses in her career. Still, she never truly vanished. Her name always hovered in the periphery of tennis consciousness, like a classic melody waiting to be played again. Chapter 2. A wild card opens the gate. In early January 2026, the Australian Open organizers made a decision that sent ripples through the tennis world. Venus Williams would receive a wildcard entry into the main draw of the year's first Grand Slam event. Women's Tennis Association. Perhaps for some players, a wild card might be a polite formality, an invitation extended to a rising talent or to a returning contender. But in Venus' case, it was a resounding affirmation, a recognition of her lasting impact, her spirit, and her unwavering contribution to tennis. To many, it wasn't simply about rankings or recent wins. It was about acknowledging a legacy that transcends statistics, a legacy that continues to inspire. For her fans around the world, the wild card was a gleaming moment of hope, not just that Venus would play again, but that her story was still unfolding. And unfold it did in a way that defies mere chronology. At age 45, Venus is set to become the oldest woman ever to compete in the Australian Open main draw, surpassing the previous record held by Japan's Kimiko Date, who played at age 44. It's poetic. In a sport obsessed with youth and physical prime, here stands Venus, reminding us that passion, experience, and resilience matter as much as speed and strength. Chapter 3. Back in the arena. Her last appearance at Melbourne Park was in 2021, a time when tennis, and the world, was still adjusting to a post-pandemic rhythm. She exited the tournament in the second round, but the raw truth was that she never truly left the hearts of fans. In the years that followed, Venus faced challenges and changes. She made selective returns to competition, notably in 2025, when she participated in 3 tournaments. At the Mubadala City DC Open, she notched a win over Peyton Stearns, her first singles win in 16 months, before falling to Magdalena Frech. Later, she battled in Cincinnati and pushed Karolina Muchova to 3 sets at the US Open. In doubles, she teamed up with Leylah Fernandez and reached the quarterfinals. Women's Tennis Association. Yet those results alone don't capture the essence of Venus' presence. Everyone who watches her, even from the stands or on a screen, can feel a certain electricity, a rhythmic pulse, a testament to courage that doesn't measure itself in rankings but in character. Her path back to Melbourne began with another wild card, this time at the Hobart International, a warm-up event designed to set the stage for her Australian journey. It was more than preparation. It was a strategic and emotional affirmation that Venus was ready to compete, to challenge herself again. Chapter 4. What it all means. Some might see a wild card and ask, why reward someone who is past her competitive peak? That question reveals as much about modern sport as it does about human expectations. In the modern world, so much emphasis is placed on youth and novelty, on numbers and algorithms. But Venus represents something deeper: legacy, grit, and timeless love for the game. In her, we find a reminder that sport is not only about victory, but about persistence and joy.